about how my baby daddy ruined my pregnancy. So a little background information, I was 18 years old and I had just graduated high school, and we're gonna start this story time right around the time when my ex and I broke up. After my ex and I broke up, I had one talking stage that didn't end up turning into anything. So I eventually entered my hoe phase. Yes. And that's when I met my baby daddy, who we are going to call Mark. Now, Mark is 3 years older than me, and he had graduated high school the year before my freshman year in high school. So there was quite a bit of an age gap. Anyways, we went to the same school basically. I always had a little bit of a crush on him, but I never thought anything of it because he was literally a senior in high school while I was in middle school. So fast forward, the one day him and I hang out, and I decided that I was not going to do the nasty with him because I did not want to get ghosted right away after. Been there, done that. But sadly, this is easier said than done. And then one thing led to another, and y'all know the rest. Anyway, so 3 days later, him and I end up doing the nasty again, and I'm pretty sure that that time just so happened to be the time that my daughter was conceived. Fast forward 2 weeks later, him and I are still doing the nasty and pretty much talking when all of a sudden he says, I think we should slow things down.
Wait, who?
Like, oh, okay, now you think we should slow things down. Pretty sure that seems a little ass backwards, but okay. Sure, bud. Anyway, so fast forward a week later, I decide to ride along with my dad and my stepmom to go and get his work truck, which was a lovely 2-hour drive away, of course. Anyway, so on the way back, my stepmom and I are talking, and I low-key let it slip that my period was late. And not just like a day or two late, 5 days late. So without hesitation, she decides that my ass needs to take a pregnancy test ASAP. And I don't blame her. Low-key having a little bit of anxiety about that myself. So, you know, we stop at the nearest convenience store and we pick up a pregnancy test. And then her and I meet my dad at his work to grab him after he dropped off his work truck. And at this point, I tell her that I just want to hurry up and take the test. Like, I cannot wait. The suspense was literally killing me. So we stop at the next gas station so that way we can just get this shit over with. I take the test. She holds it while it loads. And then she gave me a hug, reassuring me that everything was going to be okay. And y'all, my heart sank. All I could do was cry because, as I said earlier, I'm only 18 years old. I just graduated high school. I had plans to go to college, like any other person my age plans to do. Well, I felt like all of those plans that I had for myself in the future were just ripped out of my hands, crumpled up, thrown in the trash, and lit on fire. So my parents end up taking me to Mark's house, and I'm standing there bawling my eyes out, holding this pregnancy test. And this man already knew that I was having a pregnancy scare before I took the test, so I don't even know why he asked me why I was crying. But he does, and then I show him the pregnancy test, and all of a sudden he starts freaking out. So then he tells me it's up to me whether I want to keep it or not. Like, yeah, I know, obviously. So obviously, you know, we're in a little bit of a pickle here, and we are going through all the options, and we start to Google where I can go to get an abortion, because guess what? Just guess. Where do I live? Texas. And what was my luck? Texas had just overturned Roe v. Wade the week before. Just couldn't catch a fucking break. But obviously, I'm thankful. I love my daughter. Everything happens for a reason. Anyway, so eventually we see that there are no places near us that we could go to, and it would be even more expensive to travel somewhere and get it done. So obviously, we decided not to do that either. Well, fast forward to November, my birthday month. Hey. Just kidding, back to the story. Anyway, so like I said, fast forward to November. The one day I'm at work, and earlier Mark had told me that he was going to go to his brother's house to hang out with his nephew. And since I was at work and I wasn't gonna get off until late, I didn't care. I was not that worried about it until, dun dun dun, one of my friends, my work friends, convinced me to check and see if he was where he said he was. I swear, it's always the work friends that have like the best intuition. Like, if they tell you your man is cheating, he's probably cheating. If they tell you you have asthma, you probably have asthma. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, something was a little bit sus about the fact that he was going to hang out with his nephew on a school night, super late. Yeah, shit just like low-key wasn't adding up as I thought about it more. So after work, I stop home and he's not there, as I suspected. But then I drive past his brother's house, and what do you know? He isn't there either. Of course. So now I'm blowing this motherfucker's phone up because listen, even though him and I aren't dating, we have been talking, and both of us decided that we were gonna try and make things work between us and be somewhat committed to each other for the baby. Not only that, but like, why lie? We're not kids. Anyway, so after what feels like forever, he finally answers the damn phone, and I confront him and I'm like, hey, I know you're not at your brother's house. Where the fuck are you? So then he confesses to being at this girl Hannah's house. and I completely just shut down. Like, he had me so worked up to the point where I couldn't even drive myself home. I literally was on the side of the road. He had to come pick me up because of all the stress that I was put under. Y'all, I literally feel this girl on a whole nother level, because I want to say that I have officially had my first ever real anxiety / panic attack in my life this week. Like, I've had mental breakdowns and stuff like that, you know, but listen, this was on like a whole nother fucking level. I'm talking, I got so worked up that I was shaking. I couldn't stop crying for 2 hours. My blood pressure was so high that my nose started bleeding. I didn't even know that shit could fucking happen, y'all. Like, it's just crazy how much of an impact your mental health can have on your physical health. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, he came, he picked me up from the side of the road, and while we're talking about the whole situation, he is swearing up and down that nothing happened with this girl, Hannah. She apparently just needed a friend for the night.
You lying? Yeah.
Like, I've heard that one before. Like, okay, Mark. Sure. I'm sad to say that when it came to red flags, I was fucking colorblind. Like, instead of red, they were like a greenish yellow, you know? No? Yeah, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. I know. Leave me alone. Anyway, so I believe him. I let it go because he tells me that he loves me and he wants to make things work. Blah, 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 blah. Clearly, I was living in Delulu land, rent fucking free, bitch. Anyway, so 4 days later, while he's at work, I realized that this tool bag left his Apple Watch at home on the charger. And that hoe had "go through me, bitch" written all over it, okay? So what did I do? I went through that shit, the fuck? And I found some very raunchy text messages between him and Hannah. They had been talking about how much they wanted each other, and he had gotten mad at her for not wanting to do the nasty with him a few times. Oh, and yeah, on the screen are the receipts. So obviously I'm livid about this. I go fucking psycho. So after I confront him, he begs me not to leave him. And you know, he swears he'll never do it again. He lied. Yeah, it turns out that he had been asking other girls for nudes and sending nudes to them. He eventually did stop, but it caused my body so much fucking stress that I literally had to have an emergency C-section due to how much stress my body and baby was under. Literally my whole pregnancy towards the end was me crying nonstop, being fucking stressed, laying in bed all day, some days, and just pretty much like low-key hating my life at the time. After she was born, she was put in the NICU, and he does blame himself, and honestly, I let him because he literally broke me down so badly and made me feel so worthless about myself. Him and I aren't together anymore, but we still live in the same house. We actually sleep in separate bedrooms in the same house, and he's talking to another girl. Good luck to him. But I will say one thing about him: he is an amazing father, but as a significant other, absolutely fucking not. That man is garbage. Okay guys, that is the end of storytime number 1. Now on to storytime number 2. Okay, so storytime about how my girlfriend cheated on me with my best friend. Come on ladies, it's not supposed to be us. This is unacceptable. Okay, so a little background information. I was 17 and in 9th grade, and I had met my best friend in 1st grade and my girlfriend whenever I was in 8th grade. Now, I also lived on my own because when I had came out to my parents, they pretty much just kicked me to the curb whenever I was in 7th grade. And my best friend's parents helped to get me an apartment. But here's the thing, right? My girlfriend and my best friend had a hate-hate relationship. Like, they could not fucking stand each other. So I thought. Anyways, they would fight about who would get to spend time with me on what days. It was ridiculous. I mean, other than that though, everything was good. Up until there was some very sus activity going on. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I did low-key feel like my girlfriend was cheating on me because of the very obvious red flags that I just so happened to ignore, per usual. Anyways, sign number 1 should have been the fact that every time she was on her phone, she'd make sure that her brightness was all the way down, and she would always kind of, you know, turn it away from me whenever I would, you know, be next to her. Also, she was barely spending any time with me. Just super sus things. Well, now on to my best friend. All of a sudden, she has everybody and their mother trying to make plans for her, and she has no time for me at all. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys can call me, you can call me dumb for this one.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I was over my girlfriend's house the one day, and she has this one sweatshirt that she really likes. I really like it too. So I go to grab it, and it's not there, and I ask her where it is, and she's like, oh, my sister must have took it on vacation with her. So, you know, I'm like, okay, I brush it off because there was nothing weird about that. Well, a few days later, I go over to my best friend's house, and she comes and opens the door, and y'all already know, she's wearing the fucking sweatshirt.
Oh my god! Wow!
How do I know this is my girlfriend's sweatshirt? Because it literally has her fucking basketball number on it. But you know, because her and my girlfriend hated each other so much, I believed her when she told me that it was her boyfriend's.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is the part where it kind of seems like I'm intentionally being delusional.
Too damn bad!
So the one day I go over to my girlfriend's house and I look over by her closet and I see this weird looking case on the ground. Now, my best friend would wear fake lashes, okay? And she had a case that she would put them in, and she wrote her initials on the bottom just in case she ever lost the case, obviously. So I go over there, I grab it, and I'm like, what's this? And she's like, I don't don't know. And then I'm like, I didn't know you wear lashes. And then she goes, I don't, they're probably yours. Like, girl, I think I would know if these are mine. Anyways, I turn the case over and what do you know, it is my best friend's initials, but they're super faded. So I couldn't exactly tell, but I could tell. Well, I would say what finally snapped me out of that fucking delusion that I was in was the one day whenever my girlfriend came over to my house and she had just got done with basketball practice. So she went to go and take a shower. I took it upon myself to go through her phone. Like, I was tired of playing these games with her because girly was acting sus and I had to figure out what the fuck was going on. Well, good thing I did because the shit that I found, whew, she's lucky that I did not drag her out to shower. Well, when I went through her phone, I saw that her and my best friend had been s***ing each other, you know, sending nudes and everything else. So I took screenshots of everything. I even sent the videos of them doing the nasty to myself. And then of course I had to cover my tracks, so I deleted everything off of her phone so that way she wouldn't find out. And I'm just gonna put this out here right now. I am that bitch who's so fucking extra. Like, do not play with me, please do not. So with that being said, you guys wanna know what I did? Did I confront them about it? No. Did I send the videos and pictures of them to their parents? No. Instead, I printed out over 100 packets from the school's printer with all of these pictures and text messages, and I stapled them all together very neatly, and then I handed them out to the whole school because you guys want to be messy, we can be messy.
You know, I had to double it.
Oh, and then after I handed them out at school, I handed them out to people in our neighborhood, and then I gave them to their parents. Obviously, after this, I break up with Ashley. I don't even think I really needed to break up with her at that point. I think that it was already implied that that's what was happening. I haven't seen either of them since that whole situation. From what I heard, they never went back to school after that, and also I moved and changed my phone number. Oh, and I also heard that they got into a ton of trouble with their parents. Also, I kind of screwed up Ashley's social life. Not kind of, I did. Because Ashley was one of those people that everybody liked, but I guess not anymore. Karma's a bitch, but I'm worse. So next time you want to play games, play with your mama, not me. Okay, everybody, that is the end of story time number 2. Now on to story time number 3. Story time about how I caught my teachers doing the nasty in the girls' bathroom. So a little background information. I was 14 years old and in 9th grade, and we're just gonna get straight into it. So the one day while I was at school, I asked my teacher if I could go to the bathroom, and as I'm walking up towards the bathroom, you know how school bathrooms or any public bathroom in general, like, it echoes? Yeah, well, as I got closer to the bathroom, I hear quiet grunting and heavy breathing, but of course I thought that someone was just going number 2. Okay, I did not think anything of this because duh, what else would be happening in a school bathroom? Anyway, so like I said, I walk in not thinking anything of this, and then bam, I see my history and biology teacher doing it in the open stall. The open stall. Like, come on guys, it is bad enough. Y'all are doing this in a public bathroom on school property where there are hundreds of minors walking around, but in the open stall, y'all need to have some class. So obviously when I see them, I like gasp. I'm like, oh, because walking into a school bathroom, that is not what I expect to see, nor do I want to see that. So then Mr. C hurries up, pulls his pants up, and then just sits on the toilet. And then my bio teacher, Miss Annabelle, she turns like bright red and she's trying to cover herself, her whole body with her hands, like girly pop. We already established that this is very immoral / disgusting / downright foul as but you really just have to take all of your clothes off. All of them. Not only that, but Miss Annabelle over here is f***ing married. Like, girl, shame on you. Anyway, so for some reason, the first thing that I thought to say was, I'm gonna tell your husband, even though I knew I wasn't gonna do shit. But it's literally the only thing that I could think to say in this moment. Well then, Mr. C jumps off the damn toilet, and you guys will never guess what his first thought to do is. Is it to try to de-escalate the situation? No. Is it to try to bribe me? No. Guess again. Run? Never mind, I'm just gonna f***ing tell you. He turns to her and starts crying. Not about the fact that his ass was about to be fired. No. Instead, he's like, do you love me?
Be fucking for real.
She did not seem to give a fuck about him, which go off sis because you need to be more worried about how you're gonna pay them bills without a job. Anyway, so yeah, you know, she's hurrying up, putting her clothes on, he's crying, and then finally they both direct their attention towards me, and then they corner me and start threatening me. They're like, if you tell anybody about this, we're gonna make sure that we make the rest of your high school experience a living hell, blah, 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 this, that, and the next. Like, okay, fight for the bag. But at the same time, y'all keep digging yourselves a deeper grave. I mean, shit, like, you do you, but at the same time, like, girl and sir, get it together. Anyway, so as a freshman, like, I'm scared as like, I didn't know what that meant, and I was not about to find out. So, obviously, I tell them what they want to hear, and then finally they leave, and my crybaby ass starts having a fucking panic attack. Okay, actually, though, like, I'm not a crybaby. I was just threatened by 2 grown-ass adults. Also, I wasn't even sure if anybody would believe me. But then I did remember that this is school, and there are cameras everywhere, because, duh, it's the 21st century, and we have weirdos and psychos out here doing shit they're not supposed to do. Cough, cough, Miss Annabelle and Mr. C. Anyway, so I'm crying the whole walk back to class, and when I walked in, the teacher ran over, and she's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? What happened? And then I asked her if we could talk outside because I did not want to say what I just saw in front of the whole class. Also, I was low-key hesitant to tell anybody because Miss Annabelle had 3 kids and a husband, so I didn't want to rip her family apart. But then again, I decided not to give a because sis should have thought about them kids before she chose dick over them. Yeah, anyways. So then after I tell her, she immediately gets a teacher to cover the class and she takes me to the guidance office. Could y'all imagine if this teacher was friends with those other teachers? Like, I wonder if this teacher still would have told anybody else what happened. Because you know how like you want to save your friends sometimes, you know, Captain Save-A-Ho type shit. Anyway, so they called both of them down and I had to tell the whole situation again in front of them. Thankfully, security stood next to me because I was scared shitless from the threats that they made towards me. Well, baby, the cameras do not lie. They were caught in 4K doing shit they weren't supposed to be doing. After this, both of them were fired and my parents decided to take me out of that school because they were not very thrilled at the fact that I was threatened by 2 teachers.